Hello, the amazing D365 community. Mabuhay. This is Danica Makatangay, your Miss Dynamic Millennial. It's been a while since we've had our last unboxing of D365 FO, and for today's topic, we are to unbox one of the new features in D365 FO that is available on 10.0.36 product version, and that is called delayed tax calculation. And our discussion will basically go around our agenda of what we need to know about it, its purpose, the setup that we need, and how we use it for its application in D365. So first, let's discuss about its purpose. Why do we have this addition and what will be its use? What will be its advantage, kind of disadvantage as well to the users in D365? But first, as per Microsoft, this function is for the purpose of delaying the tax calculation, as the name itself implies. But kidding aside, it is for the improvement of the system when it comes to the tax calculation, especially when the transaction involves multiple journal lines. So the normal behavior that we are getting right now is that once you enter your sales tax group and your item sales tax group in the system or in the journal line specifically, then if it is the correct combination, then the system will calculate automatically right then and there the sales tax amount equivalent for that sales tax rate of the sales tax code that are linked to that item sales tax group and sales tax group. With the delayed tax calculation, you will not be seeing, or any user will not be seeing, the sales tax amount calculated by the system once you entered the item sales tax group and the sales tax group in the journal line. The moment that you will just see it is when you open the sales tax form or when you post the system. You will see on the voucher how much is the tax calculated. Okay? So that's the purpose of this feature, of this function, delayed tax calculation. But it will be better, of course, if we dig in, we dive in to the system. It's time to unbox. Let's see the setup. Why do we have this delayed tax calculation, entity level, journal name level, journal header level, and what's the purpose of all these three setup in D365 FO when it comes to delayed tax calculation? Let's now discuss delayed tax calculation in D365 FO itself. So delayed tax calculation, we said earlier that we have three levels: entity level, journal name level, and journal header level. Entity level, that is under the general ledger parameter on the general ledger module, which is under the sales tax section, delayed tax calculation. If we want to use delayed tax calculation function, this general ledger parameter delayed tax calculation on the sales tax section should be enabled. Okay, so that's like the parent of the delayed tax calculation set up in D365. The next level is the journal name. We have here on our journal name as well the delayed tax calculation button. If we have created, if we already have journal names created prior we enabled the delayed tax calculation on the general ledger parameter, those journal name will still not be enabled for the delayed tax calculation. We have to manually enable that button for us, the delayed tax calculation. But if you created a new journal name, notice that since we have enabled it on the general ledger parameter level or on the entity level, then the delayed tax calculation button is automatically enabled for us. Okay, now what is the journal header, or where is that journal header level delayed tax calculation? So under accounts payable, let's try to create a quick or a simple journal. So let's select AP invoice, and then under the setup, there is this delayed tax calculation. So if in case you have not enabled your journal name level, you have not enabled your journal name level delayed tax calculation, then on the journal header level, then you can enable this for you to delay the tax calculation by the system. So all in all, what's most important is that we have to enable our entity level setup of the delayed tax calculation for it to work accordingly. So in this new journal that we have created, let's go to lines. Let's just create a very simple transaction here so that we can see what is the purpose or the use of that delayed tax calculation parameter we have. Notice that after I hit the save button, the calculated sales tax amount and the actual sales tax amount are still zero. Nothing is changed. Nothing is calculated in that. So that's the purpose of the delayed tax calculation. So if there are multiple journal lines in there, then that would probably improve the system performance by using the delayed tax calculation functionality, especially if there are no, let's say, customization done on the calculation of the sales tax. And also, the question is, how can we check if the system really calculated for it if there is no uh, sales tax amount displayed here as calculated by the systems? Because this would mean for me that the system did not calculate at all for the sales tax amount equivalent of the sales tax group and item sales tax group combination. So here on the sales tax form, we will see here what has been calculated as the sales tax. That even though we have zero here, this form, sales tax form, is saying to us that, hey, the system calculated for you a 4.76 sales tax amount, which is the 5% equivalent for your 100 USD payable. Okay. And if we post this journal, the sales tax amount, we will see the sales tax amount in the sales tax form itself still, and also on the voucher of the of this journal, which let's say earlier it has been calculated as 4.76. So that is still serving as this form is still serving as the correct calculation of the sales tax. That is the delayed tax calculation function that has been added in the system. And if this has been on the not enabled delayed tax calculation, this calculated sales tax amount is already displayed even before we post the journal. Now, if we enable the delayed tax calculation, the calculated sales tax amount will be displayed only after we post the journal. But again, as discussed, we'll be still able to see what has been calculated by the system even before the posting of this journal through the sales tax form. Okay, so for the pros and cons, what is if you do not enable the delayed tax calculation parameter, and what if you enable the delayed tax calculation parameter? Because if you enabled Microsoft said if you enable the delayed tax calculation, it would improve the system performance, especially if it is on a multiple journal lines, which I think we have seen that as well earlier. And if it is not enabled, then probably it might cause a delay because the system would need to calculate real time for the sales tax amount equivalent of that combination of your item sales tax group and sales tax group. When you not enable your delete tax calculation button or parameter, then the calculated sales tax amount will be displayed for you after you uh, enter your item sales tax group and your sales tax group combination. But if you enable that, then the actual sales tax amount will not be displayed on the vendor invoice form or on the journal form in any other journal that would use sales tax. It would not be displayed real time, but instead you need to go to the sales tax form for you to see how much has been calculated by the system as the sales tax amount, or you need to post your voucher, you need to post your journal for you to be able to see the calculated sales tax amount or the actual sales tax amount that has been calculated by the system through that form, vendor in journal form, and as well as through the voucher. So that is all for today, my dear amazing D365 community. I hope you learned something new, and this is an addition to our knowledge as well, as this is a new function for a 10.0.36, if I am not mistaken, update version of Microsoft for D365 Finance and Operations. Thank you, my dear amazing D365 community. God bless us all. Bye bye.